Hello and welcome to the podcast on lead-acid batteries by Ramesh Natarajan. With industry experience of over 42 years, Ramesh helps battery and battery-related industries with technical inputs and provides solutions to typical problems faced by manufacturers, service personnel, as well as users of batteries and related equipments. Hope you find this podcast useful to your business. Do visit www.rameshnatarajan.in to stay connected.
Hello and welcome to this episode of my podcast wherein I am going to talk about battery room design recommendations. The battery room design becomes very important for areas where batteries are being charged. Now, such areas are generally available in three different segments. The first and foremost, of course, is in the battery manufacturing factories. Factories have separate charging areas to charge the finished batteries. In this charging area, not only is battery being charged, but the acid is filled into the battery and the batteries are then put on charge. This is one segment where battery room design recommendation is very important. The second segment is in industries, establishments or large organizations wherein you have battery rooms for housing the stationary batteries which are connected to UPS systems. And the third segment is industries or organizations using a lot of material handling equipments and where forklift batteries, pallet truck batteries, platform truck batteries, high reach truck batteries are all being charged in one location, all at the same time or together. Now, battery rooms are to be designed taking certain consideration into account. Now, what are these considerations? One is pertaining to corrosion of the flooring. The second is ventilation. The third is adequate lighting so that the personnel working with batteries can work comfortably. The fourth is with respect to drainage and effluent collection. The fifth is with respect to safety, especially as regards fire and explosion. Then the next one is with regard to emergency exits in case of a accident. Last but not the least is first aid facilities, especially to attend to acid splash in the eyes. Now let's go over all these various parameters one by one. First and foremost, we'll attend to corrosion. Now, why does corrosion happen? When an acid is handled, naturally there is going to be corrosion. Now, a lot of acid is required at the time of acid filling, and so there will be acid stored in carboys or tanks near or in the battery room itself. Now, this is something which creates a lot of corrosion and the issue has to be addressed in a proper manner. A corroded flooring is not good because it traps the acid and water, whatever has fallen onto the flooring, and this can be a reason for skidding of personnel who work in this room. And so it's also an issue with respect to safety. One more thing is corrosion is not a good idea because it seeps into the flooring and into the surface of the earth. So corrosion is something which has to be addressed. Various options have been tried on the flooring to limit the corrosion or to limit the effects of corrosion. But all these have been not very successful. Some of the options tried have been Mandana flooring, bitumen coating, epoxy layering, or some other coating like coconut kernel or something like that. But all these have not been as successful as a PVC flooring. Now when I talk of PVC flooring, a PVC flooring which is used in homes for the floors as a decorative purpose is not the flooring which is suitable for industry. The industrial grade PVC comes in rolled form and it is very thick. It is so thick that one can even move trolleys or forklifts on this flooring. And moreover, this flooring is such that the joints can be fused so that there is no possibility of acid seeping through the joints into the floor. Moreover, such a flooring is laid with a slight gradient so that any spillage, if at all there is some spillage, goes towards the gutters and then to a collection tank. Next point to be considered is as regards ventilation. This is very, very important because when a lead acid battery is being charged, both oxygen and hydrogen are evolved. A hydrogen concentration of more than 4% is very unsafe and can lead to an explosion of fire, especially if there is any sparking or a person entering a battery room either with a cigarette or something in his hand, which can lead to a fire. And this ventilation becomes very important because we do not want any mishap to happen in a battery room which can be of dangerous consequences. So what has to be done is we have to provide a proper ventilation. Now the ventilation has to be such that there is no hydrogen remaining in the room. So the room has to have a lot of windows, and additionally there has to be exhaust fans also, because just having the windows cannot ensure that the hydrogen will go out and get dispersed. So exhaust fans have to be necessarily fitted. In case the exhaust fans are fitted very much near the windows, one has to take care and ensure that the windows are kept closed. Otherwise, the fresh air coming in through the windows will be the one which is getting exhausted, and the hydrogen which is evolved from the batteries remains in the battery room. Now, if the windows are going to be kept closed, why are exhaust fans being fitted when the windows are there, or why is a window necessary? The window is necessary to be used only in case the exhaust fans do not work, either due to non-availability of power or due to a damage to an exhaust fan. So windows are a must. The exhaust fans also have to be fitted with some spare fans fitted necessarily, because in case any exhaust fan is not working, the spare fan can be started. These exhaust fans have to be of the special type which is non-corrosive and where the motors are protected from the acid fumes. Now, having an exhaust fan and windows is by itself insufficient. One has to ensure that there is a fresh air inlet also, because as the room is being exhausted with the use of exhaust fans, there has to be fresh air coming into the room to push out this hydrogen also. The fresh air inlet has to be in a direction opposite to the exhaust fan, and preferably diagonally opposite to wherever the exhaust fans are fitted. This will ensure that the fresh air comes in, the hydrogen also mixes with this fresh air and it is exhausted out. The next point to be considered is as regards lighting. Usually in a battery room there are a lot of batteries, and personnel come here to take the battery readings with regard to specific gravity, voltage, temperature and electrolyte level. Now when these people come in, they must be able to take the readings of the specific gravity, voltage as well as the electrolyte level and the temperature of the battery in a very comfortable manner. How can they take these readings properly? Only if there is natural light and also lights provided by bulbs which do not get damaged due to acid ingress. So the lights which are fitted have to be such that they are properly protected from acid fumes. The other aspect which has to be taken into consideration while designing a battery room is drainage and effluent collection. The battery room must have a sufficient slope in such a manner that any topping of water or acid which is spilt onto the floor can be washed and it goes to a drainage and then to a collection pit. Now the flooring has to have a certain gradient and slope, as I already mentioned right at the beginning of this episode, where the water can flow to the drainage and then go to the collection tank. This will avoid any accident due to slipping on a wet floor. Of course, the drains, gutters and collection tank all need to be lined and they have to be fused with the acid resistant floor. The collection tank can be emptied periodically and the acidic water can be neutralized before proper disposal, which has to be done in line with the regulatory norms. Another important aspect to be considered is emergency exit. Whilst on the subject of safety, it is needless to mention that a lot of safety instructions and pictorial representations as well as instructions in the local language are very, very important and need to be displayed in the battery room. These instructions must clearly specify the cautionary matter like no flames, no smoking, no welding and all these things in the battery room. And it must also caution about the safety equipments which need to be used in the battery room, especially while working with batteries. In case of an explosion of fire, the personnel trapped in the room need to get out fast. The only way of getting out should not be the entrance. There has to be an alternate exit so that the people can go out through the nearest exit and the exit which is safe. This exit must not lead to another room like a charging room or a storeroom which is attached to the battery charging area, because in that case what will happen is people will get trapped in that room and the fire from the battery charging room can get into that room and be a cause of a mishap. So this has to lead to the outside. This is very, very important and care must be taken to ensure that emergency exits are provided. Last but not the least is first aid facilities, especially to take care of acid splash in the eyes. At times when a person is taking readings and measuring the specific gravity using a hydrometer and putting back the acid from the hydrometer into the cell, there is a possibility of acid splashing into the eyes. In such cases, the eyes have to be rinsed with water. Of course, such safety equipment for rinsing eyes are now available, and this has to be fitted preferably near the battery rooms. A first aid kit to take care of burns and other medicines which can handle emergencies must be available near the battery room. These medicines from getting damaged by keeping them in the battery room. So they have to be kept near the battery room but not in the battery room. As far as hydrogen evolution is concerned, nowadays there are sensors which are available from various sources and there are many companies making these sensors. These sensors are of a nature wherein it is possible to put on the fans only if the hydrogen level goes beyond 1% or 2% in a battery room. So they save on electricity also. You don't have to keep the exhaust fans continuously on in a battery room. Another thing is, these sensors also give audible alarms so that in case the hydrogen level reaches 2 or 3%, the audible alarm can be programmed to come on and you are alerted that the hydrogen levels are going up, so that you can take action before it goes to the 4% concentration. Another advantage of fitting such systems is there is a rebate given by the insurance companies if such facilities are created for battery rooms and they are highlighted to these insurance companies. So it is in our interest to ensure that such hydrogen sensors and alarms are also fitted. Thank you. I hope this episode was of use to you and it will help you to design the battery room properly. Thank you.
Please do visit www.rameshnatrajan.in. Keep yourself updated about our new releases by hitting the subscribe button.